This is a football press conference. I'm going to be brief, but I wanted to just share a few thoughts about where we've been as a football program, where we are, and where we're going. Under the leadership of Jeff Quinn and his staff, I think the staff is doing an unbelievable job of building this program. It's built to last, built to win consistently. We have depth in our program we've never had before. We're really excited about this upcoming season and the future of UB football and what that means for our athletic department, our university. I'm going to read a couple things just because there's some stats here that I think do a great job of illustrating the moment we're in right now as a program. So this past year we had 8 regular season wins. This is the most in our Division 1A or FBS era in 15 years. We won 7 consecutive games in the same season for the first time since 1897 this past year. Our 5 home wins matched the most in school history. 6 conference wins in the Mid-American Conference were the most since we joined the conference in 1999. We played in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, our second ever bowl appearance in the history of the program. We had 11 student athletes selected MAC Player of the Week, a school record. Khalil Mack was named MAC Defensive Player of the Year and earned the Jack Lambert Award, given to the nation's top linebacker. We had a school record 7 players named to the All-MAC team, including 5 on the first team, All-Conference. At the same time, we had a year where we had the highest ever academic progress rate, nationally, the APR, and the highest ever team GPA in the football program, competing in the classroom and on the field at levels we've never seen before. Khalil Mack was selected 5th overall by the Oakland Raiders, as you're all familiar with, the highest drafted player in school history, second highest drafted player in the history of our conference. We had a record 7 players from the class of 2013 invited to join NFL camps. The community of Western New York responded in a big way this past year. We averaged 22,736 in paid attendance. Not only was that a school record for attendance, but it led the Mid-American Conference by a significant margin. Going into this coming year, we already have 1,389 new season tickets. We're planning to set a new bar in terms of record attendance. This community, this alumni base, our student body stepped up in a big way last year. We're going to continue to build on that. Our tailgate concert series was very successful in year 1. We're going to continue to build on that, building a vibrant college football atmosphere, the pageantry of college football, in our quest to bring that here to this community and this university. This coming year, we have 6 nationally televised games, highlighted by Baylor at home September 12th, the preseason favorite to pick the Big 12. We're expecting a big crowd, national television, the first time we've ever been a home game on the flagship ESPN channel in over 100 million households across the country. We're looking forward to another attendance year, record attendance year, as I mentioned. And for the first time, we're looking forward to our 2nd consecutive winning season, our 2nd consecutive bowl game. We are extremely confident in the direction of this program, the way our head coach, Jeff Quinn, is leading us. And we're all working together. It's not just a football coach and a staff and football student athletes. It's an entire athletic department, an entire university. It starts with our president, President Tripathi. We're all working very hard to bring big-time college athletics to Western New York. This university had a vision 15 years ago to rise from Division III to 1A, the biggest state school in New York. We all know the potential. We're realizing it every day. Donors are stepping up. Our numbers are all at levels we've never seen. We're excited about this coming year and excited about the future. So, again, I know it's not an AD's press conference. It's a football press conference, so I'm going to get out of your way. Thanks.
If anybody has questions for Danny White, he's available right after the press conference here if you want to talk to him further. With that, I'd like to introduce, entering his 5th year as head coach of the University of Buffalo football program, Mr. Jeff Quinn. All right, John. We'll take questions. If you can do me a favor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Real quick, if any questions for Coach Quinn, if you just introduce who you are and what media affiliate you're with, we'd appreciate that. So, it's all yours, Coach.
Very good. Thank you, John. And we certainly appreciate everyone being here. Hope you had a great summer and hope all your families are doing very well. In terms of every season, and I talked to the team very quickly going into camp last week, every season brings on a unique challenge. And certainly 2014 is no exception. My focus for this entire football program is that we will run the very best football program in the Mid-American Conference and in the country. And you do that by bringing in the right kind of people. And we've had great leadership. Danny White coming up here in stating some of the things that we've accomplished in the football program. His leadership and his leadership team has been outstanding. And certainly with President Tripathi and his leadership team, outstanding. You know, when you look at developing your program, you need some things to take place. And when you go out there on that football field, we have a brand new surface going in. And that commitment by the university speaks volumes to what they want to see in this football program. And it's going to be a first-class surface. You know, over $1 million to be able to do that. That's an impressive commitment by this university. Along with our sports medicine facility, go just take a walk down there. I mean, it's a state-of-the-art, a $1.5 million facility just for our players and our student athletes, which is just tells me that everybody around here wants to accomplish the same things. Along with us unveiling a brand new helmet. Our administration has allowed our players to have representation, and we're going to have a brand new helmet, and we're going to unveil that today. So our kids are going to have 2 different helmets to choose from to wear, and we're going to unveil it against Baylor in our blackout day. So it's going to be exciting. The offseason was very challenging for me. This is something that takes place, every year. The season comes and goes, and sometimes you got to go through coaching changes. Offensively, we had a quarterback change, a position change. My offensive coordinator, Alex Wood, is going to move from wide receivers over to quarterbacks. Marty Spieler, who is my tight end coach, has now moved over to wide receivers. Keegan Jones, one of our graduate assistants, who's done an outstanding job of giving a young coach an opportunity to move and elevate in this profession. And I elevated him into the tight end position, along with bringing back Matt Simon, our running backs coach, and along with Adam Short, our offensive line coach. On the defensive side, we had 2 coaching changes over there, but we still have our defensive coordinator, Lou Tepper, who this past summer in June released the 2nd edition of Complete Linebacking Playbook. He's published, and what a tremendous ball coach he is. But we did bring in Chris Kosh as our defensive line coach, and Eric Lewis, our defensive back coach, and I still have Mike Dietzel. We did have a change in our strength and conditioning position. Greg Pazinski, who's a local Buffalonian, went to West Seneca East, went to St. John Fisher, is now here full-time as our strength and conditioning coach. And we're also very excited with those changes, but none more than the expansion of the Murchie building. Toonie Murchie and his family, the single largest donation ever to this football program and this department this past offseason, gave us $3 million. Very, very generous donation for us to increase the space and square footage for more classroom space for our coaches to better teach and instruct our football players. And we're in that process of going through designing and developing what that's going to eventually look like here. We're very excited about that. And then also with the opportunity to build in a championship indoor teaching and training center. Which is down the road, but it's certainly right now in the process of being discussed. So it's by far the most exciting time to be a part of the UB Bulls, and certainly excited about building America's next big-time college athletic brand. It's very special. Our expectations won't change. Graduate our student athletes and compete for championships. In 2014, without a question, is our mindset. Danny brought up a point, and I told this to the team. The last time a UB football team had back-to-back winning seasons was back in 1983 and 1984. That was the last time. And it's never been done since it's been a Division I-A football program. So that motivates us. That's exciting. Our kids are excited about having that opportunity to go out there. But ultimately, it's to get to Detroit. We were 1 game away last year, and we certainly didn't finish that mission. And we want to be a complete finishing football team. To do that, we got to come closer and closer together as a ball club. We talked a lot about what last year's team was able to teach us, this team this year, is that they learned how to win both on and off the field. That was an exciting year, but we moved on from that. A new year begins, and certainly our mindset is to go out there every day and become a better football team. We're very close to setting our lineups we'll be able to get that through John Fuller and his staff with you guys to make sure that you know. On the defensive side, I want to talk quickly about some of the key individuals coming back. On that side, I'll start on the defensive line. Our nose guard, Christian Sicoli, a senior. Has done an outstanding job. Last spring when the pro day came, he ran a 4.7. This guy's about 6'6", about 300-plus pounds, and he has done an outstanding job, and very excited about his leadership and him coming back and really have a dominating performance. Also at the other defensive ends position are going to be Brandon Crawford, who played as a true freshman last year. Kid who's from Florida, really stepped up. He's had an outstanding spring and fall camp, along with Ted Roy Lynch. A lot of people don't know Ted Roy. Ted Roy came as a community college transfer, and then he's done an outstanding job. And looking for depth out of Kendall Roberson, who's a senior, moved from linebacker to defensive end. I feel really good about his depth, and he's going to have an opportunity to go out there and compete along with Max Parisi and also Dalton Barksdale. From the linebacking core position, we bring back our second leading tackler, Lee Skinner. He's going into his 4th year as a starter for us. Outstanding young man, makes everybody around him better, makes all the great checks that we need, along with Jake Stockman, the other inside linebacker position. Outstanding young man, really understands the defense. And the guy who's going to replace Khalil Mack up at this point is going to be Jarrett Franklin, who's a true sophomore, didn't get redshirted last year, played in over 200 snaps, mainly on special teams, but we're very excited about him. And backing him up is a young man by the name of Kirill Threets, local product. Has really stepped and he's emerged. He's a first-time player in our program, and he's really doing a nice job. Along with depth coming from Nick Gilbo, Greg Liss, and Solomon Jackson as 3 other guys. The safety position, Adam Red. A lot of people know about Adam. Adam was the guy on the other side of the ball from Khalil. He's having an outstanding camp, very active, very aggressive, tenacious young man, and really is looking. We need him to really step up and have a great year, not only as a solid safety, but also in the leadership in that locker room and throughout our entire program. Casey Olosi is going to be the guy in the boundary. Adam's going to be to the field. Losi's going to be in the boundary. He's a young man also who never was redshirted. This is his opportunity and moment to step up for us. And then giving us depth there is going to be a young man by the name of Houston Glass, a kid from out of Michigan, Brandon Berry, another young man out of Michigan, and C.J. Stansel. Very excited about their depth. In the back end of our defense, we bring back one of the top performers at corner, Courtney Lester. Who is an outstanding young man, who's really been a real solid competitor for us, and I'm very excited about where his development is. Marcus Baker. Marcus is going to be the one who's going to be probably starting for Nigel Johnson, who obviously did a great job. But Dwilly Striggles is going to be another good, solid competitor and competing for a position out there, and maybe in some of our sub packages, nickel and dime. And I think he's really bought into that role and responsibility, along with Whitney Sherry, our safety. You know, when we look at what Derek Brim did for us for the last 2 years, Whitney was a guy that really stepped in there, and then Derek was able to step up in that role, and now Whitney's back for his final year, and I'm very excited about his progress along with Andrew Dadabo. And I think on the back end, you're going to see 2 true freshmen have an opportunity. On the offensive side, it starts up front, all 5 starting offensive linemen. You're going to see Kling at right tackle, a young man from Depew, Bobby Blodgett from Rochester, Trevor Sales, our center out of Indiana, who's an outstanding player, Andre Davis, another local product, is going to be our left guard. And then we move Jake Silas, a young man out of Michigan, over at that left tackle. But I've been really pleased with the development of Brandon Monosalvas. He's going to be a redshirt freshman for us, and he's going to have a shot and being in the mix. The tight ends, 2 solid, really solid players, Matt Weiser and Mason Schreck outstanding players, along with some depth with our senior Colton Caldwell. But when you look at Matt Weiser and Mason Schreck, I think for us and Coach Wood and our offensive system, these guys really fit a role that we need to have them really have a great year in order for us to keep our offense moving in the direction we want to give Joe some outlets that he needs in critical situations. The running back position is going to be either Anthony Taylor, which right now he seems to be the guy who's really emerged, along with Jordan Johnson and also Devin Campbell. All three of those guys, you're going to see them play this year, and I'm excited about how well Coach Simon is developing them, bringing them along. With Joe being at the helm and running the show, he is definitely and clearly, in my opinion, not only the best player, in this program, one of our best performers, but also one of the best in the Mid-American Conference. And he's had a great offseason. He's really stepped up. His leadership continues to improve daily, and guys are rallying behind him. He has a tremendous gift. He's a very talented young man, and very excited about his progress, and that's a big plus for us to have that returning player. Tony Daniel and Kyle Michael will back him up at that quarterback position. The wideouts, a very competitive group. There's a lot more numbers there than we've had in the past. You're not going to see one or two. You're going to see probably 6, 7, 8 guys potentially getting in and giving us a lot of solid plays downfield in some of those intermediate range throws, but also in the blocking element. John Dunmore, Devin Hughes, Marcus McGill, Ronnie Willoughby, Boise Ross, to say a few, Malcolm Robinson, along with Jamal Island and Jacob Martinez. And they all give us special teams play. But I'm also very excited about our specialist, Pat Clark, our kicker. One of the best in the country, in my opinion, along with Tyler Grassman, our punter, and then Corbin Grassman. We have all three starting returners back at the specialist position. As I keep telling them, you got to have a sense of urgency, have that edge, and the results will all fall into place. Share all this with you because we are demanding a lot from them, and these guys seem to be able to handle it all the time. Every day I come out there and I challenge them. They challenge each other. They challenge one another, and it's been a big a plus for us to continue advancing as a football team. But it opens against Duquesne August 30th, at home here, on the road against Army, back home against Baylor, Norfolk State, and then we jump right into the season. So, we've still got a lot more work to do, but it's going to be an exciting year, and we need everyone out there, especially our fans and our family and our friends out there that have given us and provided our football team a lot of encouragement and a lot of excitement out on that football field. So with that, I'd open it up for any questions anybody may have.
Okay, Mark Gaughan, Buffalo News. Just very simply, how confident are you can have back-to-back winning seasons for the first time ever?
Well, these kids learn how to go out and do their business every day, and I have, without a doubt, this is a team that likes to compete. First of all, in this room, this is our team room. When these young men come in here, this is a very close-knit group of kids. They like each other. They like to compete. That gives me a lot of confidence as a coach. And I know our coaching staff. I've got an outstanding coaching staff, that we have the right system, and making sure that our leadership understands their responsibility of setting the tone every day, bringing that energy, bringing that focus every day, and know that we have something very important to accomplish together. And I know that they understand that's going to be a big part of this. Them staying together, them fighting through a little adversity. I shared a stat with them yesterday about being a four-quarter football team, but being able to win games in the second half. We have not fared out as well if we didn't go in at halftime with the lead. Last year, we were 8-1 with the lead at halftime. The only game that we had the lead at halftime that we weren't able to secure and finish the game off was against Bowling Green. And that was the game that we needed to finish to get to Detroit. And that's how close these guys were. So they got a little bit of that taste. And I know that they're working extremely hard. I could see it in the way they go about their business in here, the locker room, the way they are attentive in meetings, the way they go practice, being responsible. Those are the things. And they bring a lot of energy and a competitive fire.
Jeff Bucky, Gleason, Buffalo News. Kevin, last year you had a lot of playing time with a good back. It seems the sense that I get. Are you going to do this more by committee with Bo? I mean, when you had Bo, you give the ball to Bo, and you sub in for him. But it seems like the other three guys, they're different. They're different backs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, all three are unique, and they do provide, our system with an added advantage, I believe. We loved handing the ball to Bo. Make no mistake about it, and the linemen loved it. But no matter who's behind those big guys, those guys, they're basically doing their work and they're taking care of business. But with Anthony, Devin, Jordan, each of them have a place in our offense. We have plays and situations designed to feature those guys. You're going to see them coming in and out. And Matt, obviously being an NFL coach, he's been through that experience in the past where, it's not just one guy. It's three guys. And I think those guys are all going to have a chance to step up and perform.
What has Anthony done that, I don't know if there's anything he's done that surprised you, but how is he able to make such a push?
The thing I like about Anthony right now, the best cut for a running back is no cut. I mean, he's staying on his tracks. He understands his courses. He's staying disciplined. He's not jumping around and getting fidgety and anxious. And then when he gets that little crack in that seam, boom, he's putting his foot in the ground and he's going north and south. We saw that Saturday, which in the scrimmage, Joe got us into another play. We had called a play at the line of scrimmage or from the sidelines, and then Joe was able to operate within the check system that we have for him, and he changed this is very rare, change a pass play to a run play. Okay, very rare for a quarterback to do that. But Joe knows that was the right call, and Coach Wood set it up. And what I liked about it is Anthony pressed it, and if Anthony was a little impatient, maybe a younger, less experienced player, he wouldn't have been able to take that thing and take it to the house, and he was able to do that. He's running strong. He's protecting the ball. That's what I like about where Anthony is, and that's why maybe right now he's getting to get that first snap. But throughout the game, you're going to see those other guys rotate in there.
Do you feel like with your veteran line, your depth at running back, you can have maybe the luxury of letting the young receivers we're going to have a little time. They don't have to they have a little time to grow into their role. What do you think about that?
Well, when I look at these young men, Hughes has been our program. He's a senior. John Dunmore's been our program. 2 years ago, John Dunmore stepped in for an injured Alex Nutz against Pitt and caught 7 passes in one game against a Big East opponent. So John's been in those situations. Devin has tremendous speed. He's going to be the guy who's going to take the top off the defense. And then you have a stronger, more physical type receiver, Marcus McGill. In the red zone, those medium yardage situations, he's going to be a key threat for us. Ronnie Willoughby, similar to Alex Nutz. He knows how to use his body and leverage on maybe a little bit smaller corner. I don't think those guys are going to need to take much. We're not going to take the pressure off of them by just running the ball and being stubborn. We're going to move the ball and be efficient and effective at all times. And they're going to have to step up and make those plays. What I like is how our screen game is starting. We're getting the ball a little bit more displaced out there in the screen game to some of those guys, which is going to help Joe, back off some of those pressures, because when you hit some of those quick screens, obviously that'll make a defense coordinator think twice, but out of pressure. And then making good on your connections on some of your quick slants. But we're going to run the ball. We live in the North Atlantic. This is Buffalo. It gets windy. It's not always the most, advantageous type of conditions to throw the ball, even though you still have to, and we will. But we want that mentality, and that's how you close out games. So those guys are going to have an opportunity to go in there and block and take advantage of the calls that we make. But I feel good about our receiving corps. Marty's done a great job with those guys. And Alex Wood coached those kids, too, when they were young. They're not as far behind as some people may think. You don't know them. We got to watch them play. But they're ready to step up and take advantage of their opportunity.
Mike Harrington of Buffalo News. With the recent NCAA, the Big Five rulings coming out,
It strikes me you recruit a lot in places like Florida and Texas. How concerned are you, not just for Buffalo, but for the MAC in general, that kid you get to come up to be a starter at Buffalo might stay home and be a second stringer at a place like a Florida State or a Texas, simply because there's more available to them now from those schools financially? And then the second point of that is, with seeing the helmet there and the talk about Baylor, how difficult, maybe even impossible, is it going to be to play those teams anymore if they decide they're just not going to play outside the Big Five?
Well, I know this, that any young man out looking at different options, when it comes to making a choice, if they were provided an opportunity to get a scholarship, the best school in the country is right here, academically. And, when I sit and talk to parents and, as a father and a husband myself, when I'm trying to look at different schools and what opportunities are going to provide the best education for our sons and our daughters, this is the right place, without a doubt. So when I go down to Florida or wherever I go, that's one of the strongest selling points for us. We live in a beautiful area, and it's got a lot of those things that we're looking for these young men. We're not in the city of Buffalo, but we're right next to it. That's a major advantage, in my opinion. Not being in next to the second largest major metropolitan city in the state of New York. New York is a beautiful state, and there's a lot of options and opportunities for them. And, with what you're talking about playing these other teams, we want to play the best competition out there. We're never going to shy away from that. And I brought that up on the day I first took the job, stood here in my press conference. We want to play the best competition, but we also want to be smart in our scheduling. We want to know, what kind of ball club we have. Where we want to be at the end of the year is the same place that all those great teams are. In Detroit, competing in the bowl game, period. That's where we want to be. And to do that, you have to be smart in how you schedule. But we've played Tennessee. We've played Ohio State. We've played Baylor. We've played Pitt, UConn. Last year, for the first time, we beat UConn right here. And maybe a couple years before that, they would have said there's no chance for UB, even coming off that 5 overtime game. But our kids believe in our system and each other. And when you're a competitor, you want to play against those kind of teams. We know we're playing against the defending Big 12 champs and arguably, one of the top Heisman candidates, right? The quarterback. I mean, we know they're a good football team. But when you're a competitor, you want to measure against the best. And to bring them here, what a great opportunity for Western New York to see that kind of big-time college athletic football team coming here. And we're going to compete our fannies off best we can. But I can't control all what's happening out there. What we got to do is just take care of what we can, and that's getting our kids ready and line up the schedule that we do and go play and win them all as best we can. And that's how I like to look at things.
Do you have concern, though, that it's just going to be impossible? You want to play those teams. You have a record in recent years of playing that they're just not going to do it?
No, I think we've already shown that. Teams 1AA have gone out and beat 1A teams. We've seen that happen. We've seen in our league, maybe we don't have as high of a winning percentage against those Big Five, the Power Five conference teams, but it serves us well sometimes. Last year, look at Ohio State. Look at what it provided our football program and Khalil Mack to be able to go in that arena and our kids. And when Urban Meyer said to me, he goes, "I think you guys are pretty good." He goes, "Well, how good are you guys?" "I think we're pretty good." He goes, "I know you're pretty good." He goes, "For you guys to come in this environment and handle the way you did," and they had multiple guys that were, dehydrated and through heat exhaustion, and our kids kept fighting, just like the year before at Georgia. Mark Richt, he goes, "Coach," he goes, "I've had a lot of teams come down here between the hedges, and they wilt, and he says, your kids did a great job." So that gives us that confidence, which is what we want to compete for the MAC championship, and that's what we want to lead into.
I'm sorry. I understand what those things do for UB. Are you, and maybe this is part of Mike's question, I don't know. Are you worried that they won't want to play you? Are you worried that those Big Five schools are going to be reluctant to play teams outside of that for the fear that they might get clipped?
I think just to answer that question, I don't feel that way personally. So I know they're looking for games. Look at those teams. They're always scheduling the 4-win games. That's what they're trying to do. So, obviously that that provides more dialogue for those games to get scheduled and secured. And I don't think there's any question that it's going to continue to go the way it's been going. They're going to schedule it. And if they don't, that's fine. We'll play somebody else. There's somebody out there in those Power 5 that are going to want to compete against us.
You got Baylor's a top 5 preseason team. You got scheduled 2 FCS teams this year. A little unusual. What was just the rationale in doing that?
Well, I think when we look at our football team coming back, the opportunity to take advantage of what we saw as an opportunity to schedule those 2 1AA teams. We know that only one will count, and that a 6-win season with 2 of those 6 being a 1AA win still only gives us 5 wins for bowl eligibility. So we have to get to 7. Okay? And we're motivated to not just win 7 games, but move on beyond that. And the philosophy was to look at our team, and Danny did a great job, and I appreciate him and being able to do that. That's not something we're going to do every year. It was just at the time we felt it was in the best interest of our program to schedule those 2 games, and that's where we are. And we got to overcome it by not just getting to 6 wins. We got to get to 7 beyond in order for us to be a bowl eligible team.
John Scott, Time Warner Cable News. Talk about the challenge of losing such an immense amount of talent, yet elevating your expectations for this season.
Well, that's certainly, like I said in the beginning, I said every season brings on a unique challenge, and that is the challenge, is to replace that production and improve upon it, okay? But that's why you recruit, that's why you develop. You look at the depth, Danny White brought it up, we have more depth in our program than ever before. So when those young men were freshmen moving and advancing in our program, not a lot of people knew those guys. And as time moved along, they started to emerge. They really bought into our system and the way we were training them, and they were gaining more and more confidence, and therefore they were going out there and getting the results. And I know that there was that was a sticky spot in 2012, when we were fighting through. We weren't getting blown out. We were losing a couple close games, but it was their leadership and their understanding what we were doing to really get us those 3 out of the last 4 games to get the momentum going, and then look at how it created a great and exciting year last year. Those guys that are now in those roles were part of that. So it's not like they haven't seen it and lived through it. Okay, now what they have to do is take advantage of their opportunity being out there physically. There's a lot of gifted players. I think collectively, top to bottom, we have a lot more depth and a lot more talent across the board than we've had in the past. And that's just been a testament to my coaches and recruiting. So it'll be exciting to see how these guys come together. Yeah, it's a no-name team. I get that. They don't have the Khalils and the Bows, but these kids, they're going to represent themselves and what those guys built. And they don't want to – we're not moving backwards. We're moving forward. And I can see that every single day when we're out there. So those kids will compete. They'll be 4-quarter football players, and they'll have their opportunity to make plays just like Khalil did, just like Bo did, just like Alex did. And we certainly got a lot of those guys in place now. We have less issues with starters in terms of my mind as a coaching staff to figure out who's going to be the starter as much as now we're just looking at who's going to be those key backup guys in the depth. Where in the past we've had we had 4 or 5 starting positions to really figure out in camp. Right now we've got a pretty good settled 2-deep lineup, which makes for a little bit more enjoyable camp than in the past.
Do you sense these guys have a little chip on their shoulder and motivation because they're quote-unquote no-name guys, and everyone saw this team not get depleted but lose such a high-caliber number of names? These kids want to make a name for themselves?
Yeah, I think they're confident. They want to prove something, absolutely. They know that. I've been around them and talking to them individually, talking to them as a group. They know they have something special going on here. And what I'm proud of is the fact that we have a team that is close. They're close. That's a big part of this. I've never been around, even when I was at Grand Valley and we won 2 back-to-back national championships. We had never won a national championship. We didn't have any evidence, hardware, to show the team, hey, this is what you can accomplish. But somewhere along the way, these kids kept coming closer and closer together. And that's what made us such a special football team at that place. And then we moved that same mentality to Central, and we did it at Cincinnati, and we did it here at Buffalo. And that's part of why I spend a lot of time recruiting the right kind of people. There's two ways you win this business: bring in the right kind of people and have a plan, a system to develop them. And don't compromise that. And these kids know we have the very best place for them to grow and develop. Not only on the field, but off the field and as human beings. And that's what makes this, the morale is very high. And when you have great morale, those kids will fight for each other. And they care about each other, and they want to walk off the field the way we all want to. And that's part of this whole process. So we're still, I'm not going to tell them they're going to just, wake up and it's going to get done. You got to earn it. Nobody owes you anything. So I think these guys understand that, and they feel it, and I see it every day. So it'll be exciting to see them get that first game under their belts. Then we got to go on the road against Army. We'll know a little bit more. Then bring in Baylor at home. We're going to have a little bit more to go on to see where these guys are, and then moving our way in through that last fourth non-league game and then into the MAC, race.
Talk a little bit about Joe's health and just kind of how he's recovered from missing time in spring ball.
Oh, he's done a great job. He's healed. He's ready to go. He's making tremendous plays. He's moving around, and he's the one thing I will say about Joe. Joe is a true competitor, and he's a leader, and he knows the responsibility at that position, and he has some gift. He's a talented young man. Very excited about him and coming back for his second year. I mean, right now he's the third all-time leading. Right, he's already in a year. He's already in the top 3. What is that, passing? Yeah. So, and he's got a nice nucleus of guys to get the ball to. He's got a big group up front that can block. We got runners that can run, and they can get things north and south. And he's got a perimeter group of guys with tight ends and receivers that are all on the same page. So, everybody knows their role and responsibility. Now it's, Joe's opportunity to continue to distribute the ball, and we got to protect him. And those guys will fight for him, and he's given everything he's got every day.
Talk about the tight ends with Weiser and Schreck. Do you see this offense leaning more on the tight ends this year than in years in the past?
Well, we're going to lean on all of them. I don't think you want to just say, hey, it's just this or that. We need it all. We want to be a complete finishing offense. We want to be efficient, effective, moving the chains, and when we get down those scoring opportunities to complete it, complete the mission, and that's put touchdowns and 6 points and then convert. And to be able to do that, you have to have some tight ends. This is the first time we have 2 very talented, very viable options for Joe. Not that they weren't there last year, but they're even more improved, and they've gotten a lot better. And if you watch our, some of the different things that we're doing with our offense, they are featured players because it does put pressure on those linebackers because they're 6'6", and they're able to use their bodies and lean on those backers, and it's hard, and they got a long reach, and then they're really solid in terms of their blocking mechanics. So those are very talented young men, and that's why we've worked so hard to get it to this point to bring those kids. So Joe's got those guys to go to. He's dumping the ball off to the backs. He's able to go deep to Hughes and Willoughby and Ross. We're getting some throws downfield. So, it's been, it's been a real, it's been a solid, 1 week going into week 2.
What kind of challenges has not practicing in the stadium, not on the new turf? How's that kind of challenging?
Nothing. No. I mean, it's to have these kind of facilities here. I mean, I've been to places where, even at Cincinnati, we could never practice anywhere but in the stadium. Here we have the ability to go on 2 wide open grass fields that are well cut and kept, and there's been no issues, no challenges at all. Matter of fact, our players have gained a little bit more space, to get more work done. It allows us more special teams. You know what I mean? When we're running the special teams, we're taking up the field. A whole another unit and those other groups can be on the other field. So it's been to me, it's been an advantage. But we'll be excited to get back on this one. Just take a look at that. We'll practice on the game field because that's what we play on, that kind of surface. Thank you.